Number 2 Maryland men's lacrosse opened up Big Ten play here at CQ Stadium on Saturday against number 10 Penn State. Now, while we're talking about teams in the West, Illinois and Iowa squared off in Champaign. And if you happen to watch the Colts and Broncos play this past Thursday night, the matchup between the Hawkeyes and the Fighting Illini was quite similar. The students are back here in College Park, and their presence no doubt provided a spark for the Terps Wednesday night. Let's start with one of the most iconic games in the history of Maryland men's basketball. The day was February 17th, 2002, and if you at home have watched the Terps for quite some time, you know exactly what game I'm talking about. It was number 1 Duke coming here to College Park to take on the number 3 Terps. Maryland came into Saturday's senior day game against Rutgers on a 3-game losing skid, but picked the perfect time to finally right the ship on both sides of the ball. Saturday's game against Michigan was the first time Maryland lost a conference game since May 2nd, 2019 against Johns Hopkins. What can you say about this class? I mean, Kevin Willard comes in and gets 3 studs right off the jump. And Ricky, this propelled Maryland to an 87-73 win over Duke and started a party at Cole Fieldhouse. Faith Massonis has been one of Maryland women's basketball's best players so far this season. Whether Massonis is making an impact on the court or leading the team from the bench, she's played a major role in the Terps' success. But before she could take a giant step forward in her senior season, she hit rock bottom. Back on January 2nd of this year, Massonis tore the ACL in her left knee, forcing her to miss the Terps' run to the Sweet 16.
It definitely took me a while for the emotions to set in of, oh, like, you're done. Like, you're really not playing. So had to figure out different ways to, be a part of the team and contribute and kind of play my role.
Part of that new role involved becoming a player's coach. Massonis has always been a vocal player, so channeling her voice in a different way helped her become a better leader.
It kind of gave me the sense of like, oh, like this is kind of like a coaching role because that's what I want to do with my future. So I kind of got a glimpse into what it's like sitting on the sideline and kind of helping those teammates work through different situations.
Once the season ended in the spring, Massonis focused solely on her recovery. Faith spent countless hours with her trainers and physical therapists as she spent the entire summer in College Park working through her rehab and reflecting on what the sport of basketball means to her.
I had a lot of time on my hands when I couldn't play basketball, and it did make me realize that my love for the game is a lot stronger than I thought it was.
The ACL recovery process can be a long one. For some, it may take a year or even longer. But for Faith, she was back in the starting lineup for the Terps just 10 months after her injury, speaking volumes to her desire to get back on the court.
For me, it's kind of mind-blowing that I made it back onto the floor and I'm starting to feel like myself again in less than a year. I don't know, just it's coming full circle, and it's really exciting that I get to come back on the floor and playing at a high level.
And not only is Faith playing at a high level, but she's become a starter and a team captain for the first time in her career.
It's awesome seeing Faith out on the court, just due to, in fact, that you just know, and we witnessed it, how much work behind the scenes went into her being where she is now for this team.
For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Nathan Schwartz. So a very quick 5-pitch walk drawn by Luke Schliger, and now Matt Shaw will come up for the first time today.
Matt Shaw has been a really interesting player here for the Terrapins. Huge impact. Went 5 for 5, 3 RBIs versus South Florida back in a couple weeks prior in February. Huge impact here.
First pitch to him, curveball outside. Ball 1. Shaw, as we mentioned in the pregame, really struggled against Ole Miss. 7 strikeouts, went 1 for 14 with that one hit coming on Friday. So he went 0 for 9 in the previous 2 games. Schliger off of first. The second pitch of the at-bat is cranked foul for Shaw, who this is his first game at the Bob this year. He didn't play in the midweek last year, and it's got to feel good for Shaw to have that home setting here today. Nelson fires the 1-1 curveball, and that's up and out to make the count 2-1.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is got to feel good for Matt Shaw to be able to be back home, back on your home turf, and try to get something going here, try to get the bats rolling a little bit. As like you said, Nate, he hasn't been doing too well in these past couple games.
2-1, another foul ball for Shaw, and to your point, Nick, there's something just being back at home, having the comfort of being in the batter's box. You are all fall, all spring, and then are going to be all season long. And he's even in the count. 2-2 to Nelson, the pitch. And there's another foul ball for Shaw. He's a little late on all three of these heaters he's fouled off. Nelson doing a good job of not giving Shaw one on the inside part of the plate. Schliger off a first, 2-2 the count to Shaw. And that's grounded foul. He sat on the curveball, just got a piece of it. And the count remains 2-2.
Well, you know, Nate, it's got to be good for him at least. You know, home field is where you practice all the time. It feels good to get in the groove and at your own home plate. So, I mean, he's had a couple foul balls here, just a little late on some of those pitches. But if he can just time it up right, should be able to put it in play.
Here's the 2-2 again. Another breaking ball, and that's going to get deflected off the third baseman line. The throw to first, not in time, and it gets away from Petrich. Schliger off to third, Shaw hustling to second. The throw by Petrich. And he's going to get Shaw at second base. So a little too aggressive for Matt Shaw. We'll see if that scored a hit or an error. Probably going to be a base hit and then a throwing error. He was going to beat the throw out anyway.
Yeah, the first baseman, Petrich, for Delaware, was able to get a good bounce off the ball when it went just over his head. Not able to get – Shaw was unable to get to the second base bag in time, couldn't beat the throw.
So Schliger off a third, LaRusso at the plate. He grounds one to short. Freeman throws on to first, and that's going to be an RBI for Nick LaRusso. He gets the Terps on the board. It's 1-0 Maryland here in the bottom of the first.
It's going to be RBI number 12 for Nick LaRusso of the season. Something that he does super well is at least getting his players around the bags when we really need to, and that's exactly what the Terrapins need as they take 1-0 lead here against Delaware.
So Maryland takes advantage of the throwing error, and it's 1-0 Terps quickly here in the bottom of the first. But Trutz up now. He takes the first pitch for ball one, and if you've been paying attention to this team, you know Ian Petrutz has hit 2 grand slams so far this season. A big power guy taking a big step forward in his second season as a Terp.
You know, it's going to be really interesting to see how many of those he hits by the end of the season.
He's already got 2. Here's the 1-0. That's out. For another ball, that was actually the third pitch of the at-bat, so it's quickly 3-0 to Petrutz. Nelson walked the leadoff man, Schliger. The fourth batter now is Petrutz, and he takes the 3-0 in there, strike one. Nelson really working fast here, looking to get into a groove after giving up the first run. Here's the 3-1 pitch from Nelson from the windup, and that's cranked. Deep right field. Petrutz has his 5th of the year. Ian Petrutz goes yard. He just cannot stop hitting home runs. It's 2-0 Maryland.
You know, it would have been nice to see if the bases were loaded on that, but hey, listen, Ian Petrutz, another great shot. Got the ball hanging just down the middle. Looked like it was an off-speed pitch. Couldn't get that placement too well there for Nelson, and Ian Petrutz was just able to take advantage of it like he normally does. Puts the Terps up 2-0 still here in the bottom of the first.
A strange start for Maryland, but they've got 2 runs early. Here's Jacoby, and he squares to bunt on the first pitch. And it hits Jose Armando Diaz in a place you don't want to get hit with the baseball.
Yeah, Nate, as a catcher myself, I can't tell you the amount of times that's happened to me off of a pitch that didn't go where you expected it to.
So the injury timeout will give us a quick break to recap what's happened so far to start the inning. Luke Schliger walked on 5 pitches. That was ruled a hit for Matt Shaw. So Shaw singles, then is thrown out at second. Schliger advanced to second on the fielder's choice throw to first, and then advanced to third on the error. So it was ruled an E6 after the single, which allowed Shaw to get over to third. LaRusso grounds out, which leads to the RBI ground out, and then Petrutz absolutely demolishes one into right center field for his 5th long ball of the season. And we're back here to the at-bat with Jacoby, and he takes that second pitch upstairs, count even at 1-1. Here's the third pitch of the at-bat, Jacoby, and another breaking ball thrown to him, and he takes that one as well for strike 2. Quickly 2-0 Terps here in the bottom of the first. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Nelson. And he gets Jacoby in to go down on strikes. Diaz squeezes the glove,
to end the bottom half of the first inning, but Maryland gets too early. A LaRusso RBI ground out and an Ian Petrutz blast puts us where we are. It's 2-0 Terps as we head to the top half of the second inning. This is the Dirty Terps on MBN. Now here's Pickett the other way. Screen set by Winter, the 3 by Pickett, and finally Jalen Pickett connects from beyond the arc, and Penn State has taken a 35-32 lead, silencing this Xfinity Center crowd.
When Pickett's on, he's on, and he's certainly feeling it in the tail end of the first half and now in the start of the second half.
Hakeem Hart double team Reese inside, and he is dragged down by Cam Winter. Very aggressive was Winter, grabbed the wrist of Reese and tried to throw him down. That could have gone a lot worse for Winter had he just thrown him to the ground. Probably would have been a flagrant. Actually, they will. It's going to be a 2.2 shots for Reese. The first foul for Winter, and Reese connects on the first one. So it was a flagrant 2 on Cam Winter. And now Reese again hits that one. So Reese 3 of 4 from the free throw line here in the early going of the second half, and it'll be Maryland basketball as well. So a big opportunity here for Maryland to get 4 or 5 points on this one possession. Young inbound to carry, looked like he was going to take it but doesn't. Now Young. Good zone by Penn State. Scott wide open, but takes it inside, and he's blocked from behind by Winter, but he gets it back and takes it home. Dante Scott, a quick 4-0 run for the Terps, and they've regained a 1-point advantage. Maryland applying pressure as the fans getting back into it. Back and forth battle here in College Park. Winter right in front of the bench for Penn State. Finds Pickett. Pickett double teamed by Young and Carey. Pickett swings it out to the right wing. Funk in the corner. It's Lundy, and it's no good. Juju Reese with the rebound. Great defensive possession there for the Terrapins. Now here's Young the other way. Young swings it back out. That's Carey. He thinks about it, but then he finds Hart. Now Reese against Dredd on the inside. Reese posting up. Gonna take a shot, and Juju Reese gets physical and finds the bottom of the net. A strong start in the second half for the sophomore out of Baltimore. And Maryland leads by 3, 16:37 remaining in this second half. Now here's Winter going fast, and he cannot find Lundy. Was going for the rim, decided he didn't have a lane to make the basket, decided to dish it out to Lundy on the right wing, and it goes way out of bounds near the announcer's table. And 30 seconds before the under 16 eligibility. So Maryland will inbound it. Carey to Scott, top of the key to Reese, guarded by Funk. Here's Carey, hit 2 threes in that first half. 7 points for Carey after not scoring on Tuesday. Young thinks about a 3, now he takes it, and he scores! Jameer Young, his second 3-point field goal of the game. His up to 8 points now in Maryland. After being down by 3 just a couple minutes ago, are on a 9-0 run over the last minute and 40 seconds. Here's Pickett trying to get Penn State back on the board. Finds Funk, he takes a 3, and he sinks it. Andrew Funk just raining him home from 3. He's now 3 of 5 from that range, and Penn State brings it within 3.